Welcome in, College Football Now. Tyler Jones here with reaction to the breaking news late last night as all members of the Big 12 Conference unanimously voted to accept the Colorado Buffaloes as the 13th member of the Big 12 Conference beginning in 2024. Here is a look of what the Big 12 now looks like beginning next season with the departures of Oklahoma and Texas and the arrival of Colorado. Baylor, BYU, Cincinnati hops over from the American. BYU, of course, was an independent. Colorado joins the league from the Pac-12. Houston comes over from the American. BYU, Cincinnati, and Houston are new members this season. Meanwhile, you have Iowa State, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State. All of them have been in the league dating back to the Big 8 days. Meanwhile, TCU, Texas Tech, UCF comes in from the American Athletic Conference this season, and West Virginia as well completes the Big 12 with 13 schools so far. And so with that, where are we at with all these changes in college football entering 2024? Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC, and that's what really created this opening for the Big 12 to make the moves they did, adding in the 4 member institutions this year with the 3 from the American, the Independent, BYU, and Colorado next year. It all started with Oklahoma and Texas joining the SEC, and so those 5 essentially are the replacements for OU and Texas. USC and UCLA joining the Big 10 next year as well, and that's what created the instability in the Pac-12 to get us to this point where Colorado is now joining the Big 12 after laying the groundwork from USC and UCLA. And what's worth noting about USC, UCLA, and Colorado all leaving the Pac-12 is that due to the grant of rights and TV contract situation, all 3 of those schools leave the Pac-12 conference without paying an exit fee of any kind. They will be going to their new leagues with a pretty easy transition. Comparably speaking, Oklahoma and Texas in their moves to the SEC will each be paying an exit fee of $60 million. But that's not the only change in college football next season. The college football playoff expands from 4 teams to 12 teams. So it is going to be a fascinating year in college football like we have never seen before. Now, I'll say this. As far as Colorado goes and this move to the Big 12, they are a perfect fit with their history with some of the teams in the Big 12 Conference from the first time they were in the league and their 12-year absence. It makes total sense for them to come home to the Big 12 Conference. But the bottom line is this. This isn't happening if the Pac-12 did not have incompetent leadership by George Kliavkoff, and if they would have come up with a TV deal in a timely manner and said, here's what we have, these are the numbers. They couldn't even put that together. Last week, the agenda was pretty clear from Colorado what they wanted to see. They wanted a TV deal to be presented to them at Pac-12 Media Days. And George Kliavkoff couldn't even do that last week. And it left Colorado basically with no choice. They said, we like what the Big 12 is offering with their TV deal, which is on network television and on cable with ESPN and FOX, as opposed to the Pac-12 deal, which is going to be primarily streaming for the most part. And then when you talk about the Benjamins, the Pac-12 deal is maybe going to reach $20 million. The Big 12 deal is looking at around $31.7 million. It just made sense for Colorado, and not to mention the rumblings about Deion Sanders and his connections to the state of Texas. Obviously, he was a Cowboy legend there. You make things a lot easier to recruit for Deion Sanders when you let him play in the state of Texas against some of those Texas schools in the Big 12 Conference. So this was an easy decision for Colorado to make. I like it. It's the right move. And now the Pac-12's future is uncertain. What will the Big 12 do next? We'll get to that momentarily. But first, what is your one-word reaction to Colorado rejoining the Big 12 Conference? Tell me what you think of the move by the Buffaloes to join the Big 12 in the comment section below. It's our pinned comment today. Let me know your reaction. One word to describe the Buffaloes coming back to the Big 12 Conference. So what's next? Here's what we're going to do here on College Football Now. I'm going to go through the top 7 candidates most likely to follow Colorado and join the Big 12 Conference. The league is unlikely to stay at 13 teams. They could go to 14, maybe it's 16, maybe even more than that potentially. Whoever the Big 12 adds, if it's a Power 5 member, then based on the pro rata clause, they would then be eligible for the same amount of the existing Big 12 members of $31.7 million. Now, if you go to a Group of 5 school, then you have to negotiate of some sorts. But we've heard some rumblings that there could be some schools that have already been told they're good to go by ESPN and FOX to get that full pro rata clause. Let's go ahead and start with the expansion candidates most likely to join the league. Number 1 is the Arizona Wildcats. And the messaging that we've heard from Arizona at this point in time from their administration is very similar to what Colorado was saying before they ultimately joined the Big 12 Conference. Arizona has said, look, we want to stay in the Pac-12, but we need to see a TV deal. We want to see what that is before we make any commitments, any promises of any sorts. And Arizona, besides Colorado, has been the biggest flirt of sorts with the Big 12, with the rumblings, the smoke that's gone on with that program there. And they have a great basketball tradition at Arizona. And you look at the Big 12 Conference, this is already the best basketball conference in the country. Arizona would be a natural fit. And you bring in the Phoenix and the Tucson market as well. Have a partner for BYU and Colorado out west. Arizona seems like an easy fit for the Big 12 Conference. And who knows? Could be a matter of days, could be a couple of months. But Arizona, I think, is your favorite to be the next member of the Big 12 Conference at this point in time. Prediction time. Will Arizona join the Big 12 next? What do you guys think? Chime into the comment section. Let us know if you think Arizona is off to the Big 12. Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Tell me what you think. Is Arizona going to the Big 12 Conference, leaving the Pac-12? Tell us what you think. Y for yes, in for no. Now, folks, I know it's hot outside, but before you know it, we're all going to be at college football games trying to bundle up and support our favorite team. And so now's the time to go ahead and get a hoodie while it's on sale now before the season begins and before you're sitting at whether it's Folsom Field or Memorial Stadium in Norman, or if you're at DKR in Texas, whatever it may be. If you're a college football fan, you got to get some of these hoodies that are on sale now for 30% off at chatsports.com/college football hoodie. And we have all sorts of teams available to get these hoodies. And this sale is a great deal. What are you waiting for? Get yours now. chatsports.com/CFB hoodie to get yours today. That's chatsports.com/CFB hoodie. Next on the list, we find the UConn Huskies. And we've heard speculation that UConn could be accepted to still get the full revenue share of $31.7 million like the other schools. They're coming off a national championship in basketball. Football was dramatically improved this year under new head coach Jim Mora Jr. with the job that he's done there. Look, their football program history isn't that great, but I think they would love to be there. And they're kind of the backup option. If the Big 12 had to pick from teams to choose from, UConn wouldn't be on the highest on their list, but for other reasons why, we'll tell you here in just a second. This is about the most likely to join here, and I think UConn positions themselves second as kind of the fallback option of sorts for the Big 12 if they can't land Arizona, Arizona State, these four corner schools, Oregon, Washington, etc., and add another East Coast school to the likes of Cincinnati and West Virginia, UCF, a partner for them, and UConn, of course, very familiar with some of those teams on the East Coast, having played with them in the American Athletic Conference and the Big East before. Number 3 on our list is Arizona State. Now, Arizona State has been more vocal than Arizona about their commitment to the Pac-12 in staying there. But if Arizona, let's say, makes a move to the Big 12, it's hard to envision a world where Arizona and Arizona State are in two separate leagues, that they wouldn't be playing each other every year and be in lockstep. And if Arizona is going to go, and if they're the fourth Pac-12 school that's out of there, then have to imagine that the Pac-12's future as a whole is in pretty bad shape at that point, and could think that they would go together. I don't think Arizona State probably goes without Arizona, but I could see a world where Arizona maybe leaves without Arizona State. But that's why we put Arizona State here, because of their connection to Arizona on that front. Number 4 is Utah. In Utah, among the 4 corner schools, their fans and their administration has been the most vocal about not joining the Big 12 Conference and staying in the Pac-12. We've heard all the references to calling the Big 12 a truck stop conference. Well, folks, you better get used to some visits to Buc-ee's and Quick Trip and Love's and all of them, because we got some great truck stops in the Big 12. In Utah, I would love to see a truck stop in Salt Lake City. Get used to it, folks. But Utah, this is another one where it comes down to the Pac-12 imploding, of more teams following suit. I don't see Utah as being the 14th team with Colorado. I see them as number 15, number 16 if the Big 12 gets multiple teams on that front, based on how loud they've been of that they want to stay. And the big reason why that they want to stay is they want to separate themselves from BYU. BYU is the team of Utah right now, right? Representing in the Big 12 Conference. And Utah has this pride of sorts, that kind of this feeling that being in the same league as BYU is beneath them of some sort. So they'd have to get off their high horse a little bit, but nonetheless, it'd be great to have that rivalry, the Holy War, one of the best rivalries in college football in the Big 12. What team is most likely to join the Big 12 after Colorado? You heard me say I think it's Arizona. Who do you think it is? Weigh in. Tell us what you think in the comments section. What team is most likely to join the league after the Colorado Buffaloes? Let us know in the comments section below. Folks, we are talking college football all the time here on Chat Sports and College Football Now, as we are bringing you the latest when it comes to recruiting, to conference realignment, and we're going to be all over coaching changes when they go on as well. If you love college football, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now, youtube.com/@chatsports. Turn on notifications to stay alert on the latest happenings. Transfer portal, we're all over that as well. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Number 5 on our list is the Oregon Ducks, and it's no secret that Oregon and Washington both have really pushed to try to make their way into the Big Ten Conference. That's still their number 1 goal for Oregon and Washington. Both is to end up in the Big Ten. But there is a special session that's been called upon by the Board of Regents today, which certainly raises some eyebrows. We've heard that it sounds like it's a contract extension of sorts for Dan Lanning, for him to get a pay raise there with the Oregon Ducks. But you have to wonder, if the Big Ten's not going to get that invite, what are you going to stay around for in the Pac-12? Don't you deserve better than what the Pac-12 has to offer at that point? Got to think the Oregon Ducks are a possibility, and the fact that they're having this Board of Regents meeting certainly makes people wonder a bit what's going on there. Number 6 is the Washington Huskies. In Washington, although they've been linked with Oregon about a possible move to the Big Ten and waiting on the invite from the Big Ten that hasn't come at this point, they have been very quiet. Now, we've heard Phil Knight publicly advocate for Oregon to make a move to the Big Ten and try to convince Big Ten officials to bring his alma mater to that league. Washington has kept their voices very silent on realignment. The idea is they want to go in the Big Ten, but we haven't heard a lot from them publicly at this point. So if they're going to the Big 12, you have to think it's a deal where they're going with Oregon on that front. Last on the list is San Diego State. In San Diego State, it's unknown if they would be eligible for the pro rata $31.7 million that Big 12 members would be looking for in expansion candidates that get out of the Power 5. San Diego State, of course, was linked to the Pac-12, and they announced they were leaving for the Mountain West, only to come back to the Mountain West. Their exit fee, though, is of $30+ million. So don't know if San Diego State would quite be ready to join the Big 12 or any league for that matter by next year. But this is kind of the last option. If the Big 12 doesn't find what they're looking for in the Four Corner schools or in the Pacific Northwest or even UConn, San Diego State would be maybe that last phone call they make. With conference realignment now, the question becomes, will the Pac-12 survive all of this? Down to 9 teams at this point. What's going to happen with the Pac-12? Will they last as we know it? What do you think? What's your confidence level in Pac-12 survival? Tell us in the comments section, scale it 1 through 10. Hit me up on social media. I'm talking college football all the time on Twitter, Facebook, Threads, Instagram, and more. At Tyler Jones Live, you can find me there. And we'll see you next time right here on College Football Now.